Hey guys, it's Chelsea Damon here. I just want to come on really quick and say hi to you. This is something that I want to start doing more often. It's something that I've wanted to do more is come live in the group because I want to get to know you guys a little bit better, and I kind of want you guys to be able to get to know me a little bit better. And um, so one of the things that I want to do is after I write a new blog post, I'd like to be able to just come live and share that blog post with you from Living the Sweet Wife. So yeah, that's what I'm doing now. Last night I was able to write a blog post, and the blog post that I wrote last night was based on someone who commented on a different blog, and basically when they were commenting, they were sharing about how the fact that their husband asked for space was worrying them, and basically it just really bothered them that their husband needed space at all. And so I wanted to address that in the blog post on some healthy ways and maybe unhealthy ways to get space in a marriage, and where it has its place. And so I think the reason why she was commenting was because she was kind of hurt that her husband wanted space at all. And I think particularly it happened after a fight. So she was kind of worried about what he was going to do with that space. So I can understand, her feelings of wanting to kind of keep him close, physically, but, also just emotionally in their relationship, and why space or him asking for space was bothering her. So the first thing that I mentioned is getting space during or after a fight, because that's what she was dealing with. And I mentioned in the blog post that I am guilty of wanting to get space during or after a fight in order to stop dealing with it, because lots of times if I just feel like my feelings are hurt, or if I feel like I'm not being listened to, or if I feel like I'm wrong, but I just kind of want to stop talking about it, I will kind of just ask Josh, like, can we just stop? Like, can we just not talk about this anymore? Or, like, I just need some space. And then I kind of just hope that the problem goes away. I know that, I feel like that's a little bit opposite for a lot of women. I feel like, I don't know, a lot of women want to hash it all out there, and I have been like that before, but lots of times I'm like, I just kind of want to stop talking about this, and then I actually end up hoping that the problem goes away and that we can just kind of move on later and pretend nothing happened, because that would be a whole lot easier than me having to say, you're right, I was wrong, I could have done this better. It's a whole lot easier than actually hashing it out and getting real and admitting you were wrong and apologizing. If you could just get some space and then come back later and pretend that the fight never happened, that would be a whole lot easier. So that, I would say, is a more unhealthy way to get some space. But there is something to be said for getting a little while of space if during a fight, if your intentions are to pray and kind of collect yourself and really truly examine yourself and the fight and the discussion that you're having with your spouse, in order, like, with the goal of coming back later and reconciling, and kind of coming back with a renewed spirit and having your heart and your mind more aligned with Christ and what he would want, and what he would want the outcome of this fight or discussion to be. And then so coming back to the fight or discussion with that renewed mindset, and having more of an attitude that, you just want to reconcile rather than just trying to get space, just for, like, just wanting to get away from the fight. So yeah, that would be the healthy way to get space during a fight. And the other kind of space that I talk about in a marriage is just getting a little bit of time away from each other, kind of like hitting a reset. And I talk about how, it's not such a bad thing, but lots of times your spouse can become part of just, the daily routine, just spending time together, just in our role as wives and husbands' roles as husbands. We can kind of fall into a routine and things, just play out that way. And it's not only, a great thing to do just to, get some time with other people, but it's healthy in order to have, like, a little bit of separation once in a while, spend time with other people, do things that you love doing, like hobbies and getting out or being active, or just, even if it's just having coffee with someone different than your spouse, that can be a super healthy thing to do. And the best time to do that, which is a big question that I answer in the post, is before you or your husband need it. Sometimes I think husbands and wives can feel a little bit constrained, or I don't know. They can get, I think that husbands and wives can feel restless sometimes being, in the midst of the day and the day out routine. And I think encouraging your husband or asking your husband for some time away or time just to spend with a friend or do something different, like a few hours one day, can be a great way to, throw something new into the mix and have something to come back later to talk about. It can give you a chance to miss your spouse when you're away from them for a few hours. It'll give you, like I said, something to talk about when you come back, and just help to mix up your daily routines. And I think that is super healthy for husbands and wives to have that. But there is an unhealthy take on that I think some husbands and wives do when they go out with a friend possibly, and they go out because they need space, but then they end up complaining about their spouse to, whoever they're hanging out with. So, and that could be unhealthy for several reasons, because often our friends will give us ammo to go back to our husbands with. If we go to them and we complain about something he did, many times our friends, they might not give us, encouragement or tell us what we need to hear. Say like, you actually probably were not right in that fight, or they might not take the time to pray with us about our marriage and about our relationship with Christ or what we're dealing with in our own personal lives. But they might just say like, yeah, you're right, he was being a jerk or something like that. And they could give us ammo to go back and then fight with our husbands with later. So if you are getting some time away and getting some space from your husband, make sure it's with friends who actually value your marriage and want to see your marriage succeed, rather than just tell you what you want to hear. And it can be hard to find friends who will do that, because it can be uncomfortable to tell a friend that they were wrong, because, who wants to do that? You might upset them, and that's, a very real possibility. But if you have friends who are going to value your marriage and value your relationship with Christ, and pray for you and tell you the hard things that you need to hear, those are friends that, are going to be safe to hang out with, and that, that are going to be great, when your husband goes and hangs out with them, and that, will be constructive, and a positive influence on each of your lives and your marriage and your relationship with Christ. So yeah, that's, one thing that I mentioned looking out for when you and your husband want to get some space. And like I said, it's good to have those relationships and make use of them before you're feeling like you really need to just get out and get that space. Like, I think it's great to have kind of a regular time, like every 2 weeks, every week or so, depending on your needs and your social life, be able to get out and have some time with some friends and then be able to come back. I always feel like when I go out on a coffee date for a few hours, it's fun to come back and, tell Josh how it went and what we talked about. And, he'll go and hang out with his friends every couple weeks and like for an evening, and then he comes back and we talk about it. And, I actually end up missing him in that time when he's gone, and he'll miss me when I'm gone. So, yeah, I think it shows like a healthy independence when you're able to go out and do your own thing. And it doesn't even have to be spending time with friends. It could be going out and going on a hike, or, doing an activity that you love to do. And then you get to come back and share that with them, and, you feel filled up, and yeah, and you come back and you're all the better for it. So yeah, I'd love to know your thoughts. I'm going to leave the link to the actual blog posts in the comments to this video. So go and read it, and I'd love to see your comments on that blog post and what you think. And, if you and your husband have a healthy way that you guys get space every once in a while, share that in the comments below, because there might be husbands and wives looking for the same kind of advice. Like, how can we get some healthy space in our marriage that actually helps to build us up, rather than, produce distance. So yeah, leave those comments here. Like I said in the beginning, I'm going to be coming live more often when I create a new blog post, just to kind of hash that out and explain it a little bit more in detail, kind of in person with you guys. All right, so I'll see you guys next time. Bye.